Our mystic snapshots usually deal with a pivotal or very important incident in the life of Jesus, his apostles, or his ministry. Today we have something a little bit different. Mystic Maria Valtorta gives us a glimpse into what might be considered a typical day in the life of Jesus and his ministry, and the give and take between he and his apostles, mainly in this case, St. Peter. She says, John knocks at the door of the house where Jesus is a guest. A woman comes to the door, and when she sees who it is, she calls Jesus. They greet each other with a salutation of peace, and then Jesus says, "You have come early, John. I have come to tell you that Peter asks you to pass by Bethsaida. He has spoken to many people about you, and we did not go out fishing last night. We prayed as well as we could, and we gave up profit because the Sabbath was not yet over. And this morning we went through the streets speaking about you. There are many people who would like to hear you. Will you come, Master?" Jesus says, "I will, although I must go to Nazareth before going to Jerusalem." John says, "Peter will take you from Bethsaida to Tiberias in his boat. It will be even quicker for you." Jesus says, "Let us go then." Jesus takes his mantle and haversack, but John relieves him of the satchel, and they set out after saying goodbye to the landlady. They make their way to Bethsaida, and I see them entering that town. I realize it is that town because I see Peter, Andrew, and James with their wives awaiting Jesus at the entrance of the village. Jesus says, "Peace be with you. Here I am." Peter says, "We thank you, Master, also on behalf of those who are waiting for you. It is not the Sabbath today, but will you speak your words to those awaiting to hear you?" "Yes, Peter, I will be at your house." Peter is overjoyed. "Come then. This is my wife, and this is John's mother, and these are their friends. But there are other people waiting for you, relations and friends of ours." As they are walking, Peter says, "Master, please stay one night at my house. The road to Jerusalem is a long one, even if I will shorten it for you, taking you to Tiberias by boat. My house is poor, but honest and friendly. Stay with us tonight." Jesus looks at Peter and all the rest who are waiting. He looks at them rather inquisitively. He then smiles and says, "Yes, I will stay." It is such a great joy for Peter. They go to Peter's house. There's a large smoky kitchen. In a corner there are nets and ropes and fishing baskets. After all, Peter is a fisherman. In the middle there is a long, low fireplace, but there is no fire. Through two opposite doors one can see the street on one side and the kitchen garden with a fig tree and vines on the other side. Beyond the street, the rippling on the sky-blue lake can be seen, and beyond the kitchen garden, there is the dark, low wall of another house. Peter says, "I offer you what I have, Master, and as best as I know how to—" And Jesus cuts him off. He says, "You could not offer any more or any better, Peter, because you are making your offering with love." They give Jesus some water to refresh himself, and then some bread and olives. Jesus takes a few mouthfuls only to please them, but he thanks them, and then he eats no more. Some children look in rather curiously from the kitchen garden and the street. I don't know whether they are Peter's children or not. I only know that he frowns on the intruders to keep them out. Jesus smiles and says, "Peter, leave them alone." "Master, do you want to rest? My room is here, and Andrew's is over there. Take your choice. We will not make any noise while you are resting." Jesus asks, "Have you got a terrace?" Peter says, "Yes, and the vine, although it is still almost bare, gives a little shade." "Then take me up there. I prefer to rest there. I will think and pray." "As you wish," says Peter. "Come." A little staircase rises from the kitchen garden up to the roof, which is a terrace surrounded by a low wall. Also there are nets and ropes. There's much bright light, and it is a beautiful view of the blue lake. Jesus sits on a stool, leaning his back against the little wall. Peter bustles with a sail, which he spreads over and on the side of the vine to make a shield against the sun. There's a breeze and silence. Jesus is visibly happy. Peter says, "I am going, Master." Jesus says, "Go. Go with John and tell people that I will be speaking here at sunset." Jesus remains alone and prays for a long time. With the exception of 2 pairs of doves that come and go from their nests and the twittering of sparrows, there is no noise or living being near Jesus praying. The hours pass peacefully and quietly. Then Jesus stands up. He walks round the terrace, looks at the lake, smiles at some children playing in the street, and they smile back at him. He looks along the street towards the little square about 100 yards away from Peter's house. He goes downstairs. He looks into the kitchen, and he says, "Woman, I'm going for a walk on the shore." He goes out and walks to the beach near the children. He asks them, "What are you doing?" They say, "Well, we wanted to play at war, but he does not want to, and we're playing at fishing." The boy who does not want to play at war is a frail little fellow with a most bright face. Perhaps he is aware that, as frail as he would get a beating in making war, and so he pleads for peace. But Jesus takes the opportunity to speak to the children. He is right. War is a punishment of God to chastise men, and it is a sign that man is no longer a true son of God. When the Most High created the world, he made all things, the sun, the sea, the stars, the rivers, the plants, the animals. But he did not make arms. He created man and gave him eyes that he might cast loving glances, and a mouth to utter loving words, and ears to listen to such words, and hands to give help and to caress, and feet to run fast to assist our neighbors in need, and a heart capable of loving. He gave man intelligence, speech, affections, and taste, but he did not give man hatred. Why? Because man, a creature of God, was to be love as God is love. If man had remained a creature of God, he would have persevered in love, and the human family would have not known either war or death. The children say, "But he does not want to make war because he always loses." Jesus smiles and says, "We must not reprove what is harmful to us simply because it is harmful to us. We must reprove a thing when it is harmful to everybody. If a person says, 'I do not want that because I would lose,' that person is selfish. Instead, the good child of God says, 'Brothers, I know I would win, but I will say to you, don't let us do that because you would suffer a loss.' Oh, that fellow has understood the main precept. Who can tell me which is the main precept?" Well, the 11 children, they all say as one mouth, "You shall love your God with all your strength and your neighbor as yourself." Jesus says, "Oh, you are clever children. Do you all go to school?" "Yes, we do." "Who is the most clever?" The children say, "He is." It's the frail little fellow who does not want war. Jesus asks him, "What is your name?" He says, "Joel." Jesus says, "That is a great name." He then asks the children, "Which of you wants to be amongst those who will be judged saints of God?" And all 11 of them, like one mouth, say, "I, I." Jesus says, "Will you love the Messiah then?" "Yes, yes, you we love. We know who you are. Simon and James have told us, and our mothers have told us. Take us with you." Jesus says, "Yes, I will take you if you are good. No more bad words, no more arrogance, quarrels, no answering back to your parents. Prayer, study, work, obedience. And I will love you and come with you. The children are all around Jesus, making a great fuss, tugging at his mantle, and he is enjoying it. An elderly man goes near the group inquisitively. Jesus turns round to caress a child who is pulling his mantle, and he sees him. He stares at him intensely. The man blushes and greets him, but does not say anything else. Jesus says, "Come, follow me." "Yes, Master." This is the first meeting with Philip. Jesus blesses the children, and walking beside Philip, he calls him by his name. He goes back home. They sit in the little kitchen garden. Jesus says, "Do you want to be my disciple?" Philip says, "Yes, I do, but I dare not hope for so much." "I have called you." "Then I am your disciple. Here I am." "Do you know about me?" "Andrew spoke to me about you," Philip said. "He said, 'The one you were pining after has come,' because Andrew knew that I yearned for the Messiah." Jesus says, "Your expectation has not been disappointed. He is in front of you." My Master and my God. You are a well-intentioned Israelite, Philip. That is why I am manifesting myself to you. Another friend of yours is waiting. He too is a sincere Israelite. Go and say to him, "We have found Jesus of Nazareth, the son of Joseph of the house of David, him of whom Moses and the prophets have spoken." Go. Jesus remains alone until Philip comes back with Nathanael Bartholomew. Jesus says, "Here is a true Israelite in whom there is no deceit. Peace be with you, Nathanael." Nathanael quizzically says, "How do you know me?" Jesus says, "Before Philip came to tell you, I saw you under the fig tree." "Master, you are the Son of God. You are the King of Israel." Jesus says, "Because I said I saw you while you were meditating under the fig tree, you believe? You will see greater things than that. I solemnly tell you that heaven is open, and because of your faith, you will see angels descending and ascending above the Son of Man, that is above me, who am speaking to you." Nathanael says, "Master, I am not worthy of such a favor." Jesus says, "Believe in me, and you will be worthy of heaven." Will you believe? Nathanael says, "I will, Master." A little later, the terrace is full of people. Other people are in Peter's kitchen garden. And then Jesus starts to speak. "Peace to men of good will. Peace and blessings to their homes, their women, their children. May the grace and the light of God reign in your homes and in the hearts dwelling in them. You have wished to hear me speak. The Word is speaking now. You want to know what is required to become disciples of the Word of God, of the Messiah, Word of the Father. All I want is your good will. Is what I ask for difficult? No, it is not. I do not impose on you the hundreds of precepts of the rabbis. I say to you, follow the Decalogue. The law is one and immutable. Many centuries have come and gone since it was given, beautiful, pure, and fresh, like a newborn creature, like a rose just opened on its stem. Simple, neat, easy to follow. Throughout the centuries, faults and trends have complicated it with many minor laws, with burdens and restrictions, with too many painful clauses. I am bringing once again the law to you as the Most High gave it. But in your own interest, I ask you to accept it with sincere hearts, like the true Israelites of bygone times. You grumble, more in your hearts than with your lips, that it is the fault of people in the upper classes rather than of humble people I know. But Do not judge those who acted for other people, not for themselves. Do what God commands, and above all, strive and be perfect in the two main precepts. If you love God with all your souls, you will not sin, because sin gives pain to God. Who loves does not want to give pain. If you love your neighbors as you love yourselves, you will be respectful children to your parents, faithful husbands to your wives, honest merchants in your trade, without any violence against your enemies, truthful in bearing witness, without envy of wealthy people, without any incentive of lewdness for another man's wife. And as you do not want to do to other people what you do not wish them to do to you, you will not steal or kill or slander, or enter someone else's nest like cuckoos. Nay, I say to you, carry to perfection your obedience to the two precepts of love. Love also your enemies. How much the Most High will love you, since he loves man so much. Although man became his enemy because of the original sin and because of his personal sins, he sent man the Redeemer, the Lamb who is his Son. That is I, who am speaking to you. The Messiah promised to redeem you from all your sins if you will learn to love as he does. Love. May your love become a ladder by which, like angels, you will ascend to heaven, as Jacob saw them, when you hear the Father say to each and everybody, I will be your protector wherever you go, and I will bring you back to this place, to heaven, the eternal kingdom. Jesus ends his sermon with, Peace be with you. Peter asks, Are you leaving tomorrow, Master? Tomorrow at dawn, if you do not mind. I am sorry that you are going away, but I do not mind the hour. On the contrary, it suits me. Jesus asks, Are you going fishing? Yes, tonight, when the moon rises. You did well, Simon, not fishing last night. The Sabbath was not yet finished. Nehemiah, in his Reformation, wants the Sabbath to be respected in Judah. Even nowadays, too many people work on the Sabbath day at presses, carry wood, wine and fruit, and buy and sell fish and lambs. You have 6 days for that. The Sabbath is of the Lord. Only one thing you may do on the Sabbath. You may do good to your neighbor. But all profit must be excluded from such help. Who infringes the Sabbath to make a profit will be punished by God. He makes a profit, he will lose it during the other 6 days. He makes no profit, he has fatigued his body to no purpose because he did not grant it the rest that intelligence prescribed for it, and thus he irritated his soul, having worked in vain, and goes to the extent of cursing. The day of the Lord, instead, is to be spent with your hearts united to God in sweet prayer of love. You must be faithful in everything. Peter says, But scribes and doctors who are so severe with us, they do not work on Sabbath days. They do not even give us a piece of bread to their neighbors to avoid the fatigue of handing it over, but they practice usury also on a Sabbath. As it is not a material work, is it legal to practice usury on a Sabbath? Jesus very firmly says, No, never, neither on a Sabbath nor any other day. Who practices usury is dishonest and cruel. Peter says, well, the scribes and the Pharisees, Simon, don't judge, just do not do it. But I have eyes to see. Is there only evil to be seen, Simon? No, Master. Well then, why look at evil deeds? Peter says, You are right, Master. Well, tomorrow morning at dawn, I will leave with John. Master. Yes, Simon, what is it? Master, are you going to Jerusalem? Well, you know I am. Also, I am going to Passover, and also Andrew and James. Well, do you mean that you would like to come with me? And your fishing, and your profit. You told me that you like to have money, and I will be away for many days. I am going to my mother's first, and I will go there also on my way back. I will stop there to preach. How will you manage?" Peter is kind of scratching his head, and he's perplexed, and he's really thinking, and he's undecided, and then he makes up his mind. He said, I think I will come. I prefer you to money." The others say, "I am coming too, and so am I. We are going too, aren't we, Philip?" Jesus says, "Come then. You will help me." Oh, Peter is more than excited at the idea of helping Jesus. "How shall we do that, Master?" Jesus says, "I will tell you. To do good, all you need do is do what I tell you. Who obeys always does good. Who will now pray, and we will then each of us go and perform his duties. What will you do, Master?" "I will continue to pray. I am the light of the world, but I am also the Son of Man. I must therefore draw from the light to become the man who redeems man. Let us pray." Jesus says a psalm, the one beginning, "Who rests in the help of the Most High will live in the protection of the God of heaven. He will say to the Lord, 'You are my protector and my shelter. He is my God. I will hope in him. He rescued me from the snares of fowlers and from harsh words.'" Jesus then blesses them and leaves. This is Joe Roberts.